traveling historic Route 66. Now, we're another one of Kelly's favorite places.
Another Arizona oddity.
And it's odd.
Two guns. But we also will be
telling you about the history of this place that featured a gas station, gift shop, restaurant, campground, and the Death Cave. But here's a little bit about what it looks like now. Old water towers. It's amazing all the work and effort people went into their painting projects. But the thing I found interesting right here was this pool. And again, the graffiti artists have done a lot of work. Just interesting to see out in the middle of nowhere. Well, you view some of these modern ruins, I guess you should know that the history goes back much further. In fact, Native American artifacts date back to 1060. The Apache Death Cave, site of a mass murder, occurred in 1878. And even Billy the Kid used a neighboring Diablo Canyon as his hideout for 3 years from about 1877 to 1880. In 1889, 4 train robbers got away with $100,000 in currency, $2,500 in silver coins, and another $40,000 in gold coins. The men were captured and thrown in prison, but years later, one of them admitted that all the loot was buried in the side of Diablo Canyon. So this is also the site of treasure hunters. The Death Cave got its name when a group of Apaches hid in the cave to avoid detection, but the Navajos found them and lit sagebrush fires at the exit and shot any of them that came out. Fire asphyxiated the 42 Apaches that remained in the cave, after which they were stripped of their valuables. In 1918, a bridge opened across Canyon Diablo and wasn't replaced until a new bridge was built in 1938. It looks pretty fresh, too, a lot of it.
I don't understand some of it. Squalor, hot and bothered, just all sorts of neat stuff.
And of course, Kelly and I are here.
Of course. Are you doing a movie?
Yeah.
Ah! Look at this swimming pool. It's a place like this. I made myself from all the love.
If Kelly loses a shoe, at least we know where he can find one. One more site out there. The National Old Trails Highway opened in 1907. And of course, this would become Route 66. The almost 2,500 miles of highway from Chicago to LA that opened in 1926. And if you wonder what Kelly's doing, he's getting his kicks on Route 66 by reenacting the scene from The Wizard of Oz when the house fell on the Wicked Witch. We got the Wicked Witch of the West. Apparently the house fell on Kelly. Only his legs are remaining. I can tell by those dirty shoes. Apparently he's still alive, though.
Still alive.
His legs are twitching. If Kelly loses a shoe, at least we know where he can find one. One more site out there. In the early 1920s, the land around Two Guns was purchased by a couple who, in 1925, leased it to a man named Henry Miller, who called himself Chief Crazy Thunder. And he wanted to capitalize on the beautiful Diablo Canyon and built a zoo out of brick and mortar and chicken wire, where he had mountain lions, Gila monsters, coral snakes, a gift shop, and turned the Apache Death Cave into a little tourist exhibit, selling skulls from the Apaches that were found inside in his souvenir shop. Just an interesting place to walk around and to explore. And in a distance, or actually right off the edge, is Canyon Diablo. And that may have been the souvenir shop, because right below that is the entrance, shown here, into the Death Cave. Crazy to think what went on. Mr. Miller named this establishment Fort Two Guns after the silent movie actor William Two Guns Hart. The Roundhouse Tower served as a Texaco gas station back in the 1930s. This is just a cool place. I'll tell you more about it as I describe it, because my battery's going dead. This might be it. But just spectacular. They built this all with the native rock. I found it interesting that they applied for a post office in the name of Two Guns, but it was refused, and the post office was called Canyon Lodge. Climbed up the round tower, and this is a view looking out toward the zoo and some of the rock buildings. I'm not sure how stable that roof was, but it held me, and it held Kelly. But just a lot of fun hiking around and exploring. There's Kelly at the top of the roundhouse. I figured if it held him, I could do it. You can see we were getting late in the day, and we still had a long drive ahead of us. But just kept taking picture after picture. And I didn't really talk about the bridge there. That's actually an historic site. The Canyon Diablo Bridge was built in 1916, and then a new bridge was built in 1938. A more modern service station was added to Two Guns in 1963. And later in the 1960s, a motel, a Western tavern, a reptile exhibit, and a zoo were added. I find it interesting that the zoo and gas station and facilities built in the 1920s, 1930s were then replaced and rebuilt back in the 1960s. The service station burned in 1971, and that began the major decline of Two Guns. But many of the remnants of the old buildings still remain. I hope you enjoyed the tour of Two Guns. Have a great day.